Hello, hello, hello. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Khushamdi, Jiayanu, Goeiemorgen.
Paghairagale, ni hao, chuna shumme, washmale, ohaya gonzaimes, guten morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifahal, hale shama chatore, ahlan wasalan, marhaba, buna, and a very amazing good morning to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and watching World this morning, alongside the very amazing, the very fantastic Shiza Hashmi and Shazad Khan. Hello Shiza, how are you today?
I am great, as you know. How are you?
I'm absolutely perfect. I feel great. The energy is amazing, and I think that I've slept quite enough as well. So, and this is why that I am the way I am. But other than that, how was your Independence Day?
My Independence Day was great. Of course, we were doing our show in the morning. But other than that, I took my sisters out in the evening to grab ice cream. That's it, by the way. But we really enjoyed the decorations and everything. It was so beautiful in every little part of the Twin Cities.
Where did you go, though?
Somewhere in Rawalpindi.
Somewhere in Rawalpindi? Yeah. No. I mean, it's not really necessary that you really have to give out the details. But other than that, do you think that Islamabad was more rushy during the celebrations, or do you think that it was Rawalpindi?
Okay, so I was in Islamabad in the morning, and it was not rushy at all, as I can say. But Rawalpindi in the evening, we had to stay in the traffic for like 1.5 hours straight.
Wow.
So, but I didn't mind. I don't think anyone minded that.
Okay, but other than that, there was something which I really didn't feel great about, and that was, ladies and gentlemen, that obviously whenever it's a celebration, whenever it's Eid, whenever it's Chandra, whenever we have these kind of festivities over in Pakistan, what we do is that we plan to go out with our families or probably arrange a picnic with our other family members or the extended families. Now that's great. I think this is something which everybody should do. But other than that, there was a picture last night which I saw and was outside Faisal Mosque as well, where hundreds of people were actually sitting down, eating their food and whatnot. Now, before I tell you what happened over there, I think I'm going to give you an example of Japan, where Japanese people, whenever they go to a stadium or to enjoy a match or for a picnic, what they do is that they start cleaning the stadiums themselves. They have those big bags, and everybody helps everybody else as well. But over here, what we saw was, and it was very disturbing for me, that those hundreds and thousands of people, whoever were actually out on the roads, they were littering the roads, and then wherever they sat down, they left the disposable plates, the cups, everything out there as well. And especially those plates made out of plastic will take another 600 years to actually decompose. So imagine what kind of effect we are having on the atmosphere around us. So please make sure that you don't do that. I mean, how hard it is to actually keep a simple shopping bag right next to you, keep all your things in that, and then when you go back home, bin them, and that's what it is.
Well, at least be responsible for your own litter as well, you know. But before Independence Day as well, on Independence Day as well, we kept reiterating that please do not throw the buntings or the flags on the floor. And I'll be honest, in the morning today when I was coming, even in my own colony where I live, the flags and buntings, everything was on the floor. And of course, whatever came in my way when I was getting to my car, I picked it up. But there were so many things that I couldn't, of course, since I was, driving and everything. But please be responsible and respect Pakistan like you should every other day, not only on the 14th of August.
Exactly. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move on towards the headlines. So let's see what's happening in Pakistan today. Good morning.
Let's take a look. The National Assembly will elect its Speaker and Deputy Speaker today.
Congratulations to the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker nominees. And moving on, where last but not the least, Grand Democratic Alliance announces support for Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf candidates in the elections of Speaker, Deputy Speaker, and the Leader of the House. Wow, superb. So this is what is happening in the political arena of Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen. But time now to discuss what's happening in the arena of world this morning. So what are we talking about today, Shazad?
So we're talking about something very important, as I always say. But since for the last 2 days, we have been discussing how people living inside Pakistan can contribute towards Pakistan for the betterment and prosperity. But today we're talking about people who belong to Pakistan, who are Pakistani nationals but are living abroad, and how they can contribute to the society.
Exactly. And then other than that, ladies and gentlemen, whenever I've got a chance to travel around wherever I go, even if there are people who actually have never ever come back to Pakistan or never got a chance to visit Pakistan, I can feel their emotions that, they wanted to do something big, they wanted to do something greater for the entire nation as well, and for the country itself. And it's just sheer luck, or I think that that, or probably those people are just very unfortunate that they cannot get out time or take out time to come visit their own country. So what they have done is that they form different alliances, they form different groups, different organizations, and on every tier, on every segment of the society, they're trying to help. And how they are helping, this is something which we're going to ask, because earlier on the 13th of August and on the 14th of August, we had people from all walks of life talking about how they're trying to make Pakistan a great country to live in and Pakistanis to be a great nation. So today what we have done is that we've actually gathered the expats over here within the studios. They're going to talk about how they want Pakistan to be in near future, what kind of reforms do they want within the systems as well, and then how do you think that they can even develop or have a good construct of the social fabric within Pakistan and outside Pakistan as well amongst Pakistanis. So this is what we are talking about. Let's start with Pakistan Zindabad. On my right hand side, we have been joined by somebody who's an anchor person and a solicitor in UK. He's none other than Mr. Muhammad Nazir. Hello, assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Walaikum salam. Good morning, Pakistan. Good morning, world.
Thank you very much for joining us. Alongside Mr. Muhammad Nazir, we have been joined by Mr. Shamir Bhatt, who's a social entrepreneur and he's the president of the Helping Hands International. Hello, assalamu alaikum, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Thank you very much for joining us. And alongside Mr. Shamir Bhatt, we have been joined by Mr. Ali Milad, who's once again a social activist. He's the vice president of the Helping Hands International. Hello, assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Walaikum salam, I'm absolutely fine.
Aren't you too young to have a title of a vice president? Huh?
Well, you're never too young. I mean, Muhammad bin Qasim took over India when he was 16, so I don't think that.
And how old are you right now?
I'm 18 right now.
So you missed out on the opportunity, bro. It's perfectly alright. Whatever you're doing is great as well. But last but not the least, ladies and gentlemen, we've even been joined by somebody who's actually got good grip on international relations. He's an assistant professor of IR. He's none other than Mr. Kalimullah. Hello, assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum salam. I'm fine. How are you?
Thank you very much for joining us. We're absolutely perfect. That's how we are every morning, even if we are not fine. All right, but now let's get started with Muhammad Nazir Saab. Now, Muhammad Nazir Saab, in the beginning, I've mentioned that we have been discussing how to make Pakistan a better place, how to be a great nation with all of those Pakistanis who reside within Pakistan. How do you see the role of expats, people who think that their heart and they bleed for Pakistan as well, and if they want to do something, what do you think is that one thing which they need to do for those people who does not live in Pakistan, expats?
Shazad, it's a very good question. Thank you very much for asking. I believe the most important thing is overseas Pakistanis are contributing in economy, and also their role, especially in the when we talk about the charitable projects. I will remind you, at the time of earthquake and also at the time of flooding in Pakistan, unfortunately, there was a lot of tragedies where overseas Pakistanis have contributed a lot. But at the same time, when we talk about that, it's a two-way traffic, what the government can do and what our Pakistani can contribute. So it's a two-way traffic. I believe overseas Pakistanis are expecting from upcoming government that there will be certain steps that they should given more right to representation, right to vote, and especially when we talk about right to representation, there are a lot of issues on the grassroots level. When we talk about the grassroots level, there is a lot of issues with the law and order, with the land records. There are also issues about the properties purchased by the overseas Pakistanis with their hard work, and they've been occupied by illegally. There's so many other issues.
See, that's not what we are talking about today. Today, what we are talking about is the role which expats need to play to make Pakistan a better country. So let's forget about our properties or any other issues today.
They are already playing a very positive role. When we say that, what is their role? I believe they have contributed not overseas, but also back home. They have, as I mentioned, they have contributed in economy. And they have created soft image of Pakistan. I'll give you a few examples. If we'll talk about the United Kingdom, where I came from, Lord Nazir Ahmed, there are so many other parliamentarians who belongs to this land from this dharti, but they have
even the mayor
contributed.
Of London, I guess.
Yes, Sadiq Khan.
Yes.
There are so many other examples. Saeeda Warsi, she's from Gujar Khan, not far away from here. And there are many, thousands of, hundreds of councillors.
Yes.
And they're contributing very good.
Yeah.
And I will also mention there are a lot of cricket players. We will talk about the Amir Khan, Moeen Khan, Moeen Ali. There are so many other players who are contributing. And I think these are the role models who have taken green flag all over the world, and they have created a very beautiful, positive image of Pakistan.
No,
Amazing.
That's true. No, that's true. Please hold the thought. We'll come back to that. But moving on to Mr. Shamir over here. Now, you've spent quite some years abroad as well, and some is in Pakistan as well.
Yeah.
So one of the major problems or the areas in which Pakistan is lagging behind, you assume or you identified as education, and that is what your NGO is built upon.
Yep.
So why do you think it was education? What actually drove you in that direction?
I think education is a basic necessity
Yeah.
that every student should have access to. If a person is not provided with the education,
Yeah.
I for one think that he will not be able to grow.
Yeah.
He will not be able to know what is happening in the world. And education is a fundamental right of every Pakistani child. And there are many children in Pakistan who do not get to go to school. Not everyone is as privileged as we are or
Right.
you are. There are basically government schools functioning in Pakistan, and we both know that they are not to that level which private sector schools have made education into. Basically, keeping education confined to just four walls, as my mentor Sir Waleed Mushtaq always says, does not help a student grow and learn. You actually have to take education outside these four walls. Basically, we work on innovation centers. We make innovation centers in different schools functioning in Pakistan, which are basically underprivileged schools. So we provide them with internet access. There are innovative softwares installed in these computers, which connect these children to the outside world. We basically work on projects in the northern areas of Pakistan where there is no internet access. So connecting them to the world, they will get to know that how the world functions. As you mentioned earlier on, that there were people who had a picnic near Faisal Mosque and they littered. If they had seen that how you mentioned Japan, if they would have seen or would have witnessed that how they clean up after themselves, or we living abroad, how we have roommates and how we are supposed to clean up after ourselves. There are little things like this. They'll get to learn it, and we plan on inculcating these skills into these kids so they can grow up to be a better person.
Okay, that's great. But before we move on to Ali Milad and before we move on to Mr. Kalimullah as well, ladies and gentlemen, since when I first asked the question of Muhammad Nazir Saab that what do you think is the role which needs to be played by the experts. So I think this is one example where Shamir actually came up with the idea of having his own organization, which is with the name of Helping Hands, and then promoting education within Pakistan as well. How did you come across this idea of having your own organization and then getting some other expats on board so that you can do something better in the education industry?
All right. So basically, we hosted a model United Nations in our school, and it was by the name of Roots Youth Model United Nations. It is basically a model of the United Nations Assembly. So when we were working on Ryman, we witnessed management and coordination firsthand. We were young, and Ali Milad was my partner for that MUN. We managed to get a lot of people into debating, and there were a lot of executives, directors of different tech giants and other people like that, and we were able to get them all into one room, and they saw people debate. So we thought that if we can do it on this level, why not do it in a way that we can actually help people, since we have witnessed management and coordination firsthand. So we came up with the idea of starting this NGO as soon as I went abroad. I registered it as a student organization in my university, and by the help of the Muslim Students Association, I would like to thank my friend Mr. Nadir Khan here, who helped us establish it in Iowa, where I live in, the state I live in. And after it was registered in the US, expats came in and they started donating us. We had fundraising dinners, and they actually want to help a lot, since they have a lot in terms of fortune. Well, basically most of them are doctors, they are working for tech giants, corporate giants. They basically are the real helping hand for us in this organization.
Especially if you're a doctor in US, I think
you make a lot of money. You make a lot of money.
Well, okay, moving on to Mr. Ali over here, Mr. Vice President, as I can say. He's actually very young. He's in his late teenage years right now. And I actually feel so proud to say that people from Pakistan at this young age feel so strongly about this cause that we call education.
Well, let me ask you, have you got your driving license?
Yes, I have. Last week, yes.
He's very young, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead.
Okay, so how long has actually this been going on for? And other than that, what are some of the areas that you guys have worked in?
Well, informally, we've been doing this for about, I think, 3.5 years. But formally, as an organization, we started out about 1.5 or 2 years ago, after Shamir got it registered in his university. And you know, we looked at, because I myself am from quite a remote area. I belong to Hunza in Gilgit-Baltistan.
Wow.
So the development model that especially the Aga Khan Development Network brought in the 1970s, because it was a very backward area. So what they did was, the thing that they promoted most was organization and education. And in the last 50 years, firsthand, I've seen, you know, my peers, my family, the people around me, how education has helped us developed in the real time. I mean, we talk that education is necessary for development, etc., etc., but I've seen that happen. I mean, we went from the first time in 1960s and 1970s, there were only 2 people who could speak English in Hunza. Now, everybody. I think Hunza district itself has a literacy rate of 98%.
That's what I've heard.
The highest in Pakistan. Because, you know, people work to, and especially women empowerment and education. The culture towards Gilgit-Baltistan is that if my family has money to teach one child, they have a son and a daughter, then they have to teach the daughter. They have to give her quality education. So basically, I saw and we saw how this helped us out in our area. And then, I mean, in this time and age, the availability of technology, that is a new factor that has come in. I mean, if you don't know how to use a computer these days, you're not able to function, because these days we're talking about cosmopolitan ethics, we're talking about a global community. You're not confined to Pakistan right now, okay? You can trade anywhere you want. You can sit in Hunza, and if you have access to a computer, if you have good education, you can run a business in the United States online. You have everything online. So that is what me and Shamir, we identified this problem, and then you know, we got people together, we started working on it, and we started our organization, and that is what we've been doing ever since. The most recent project we had, I think, was
we'll definitely talk about your projects. Don't jump ahead. But other than that, there's one thing which I would love to ask, and that is that, you know, even when I went to Kailash, you know, or whenever you go to the northern areas of Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, the literacy rate is literally very high. Everybody, I mean, it's not, you know, literacy is not defined by whether somebody can speak English or not, but it's about how they can read, write, and, you know, have real-time corrections or probably critical thinking. That's what the process is like. But now what I want to ask you is, for example, if we go back in time, and I want you to share this with the world out there, in 1960s and 70s, you said that, you know, people weren't really literate. What was very different in the years to come that, you know, the literacy rate has gone up? And the percentage is staggering. It's at 98%, as you mentioned. What was different after 1970s in the northern areas of Pakistan?
Well, I wasn't there at the time, but what I hear from my father and my forefathers, my grandfather, you know, again, as I said, educating women, okay, because the women are the people who runs your house. I mean, if my mother is educated, my father is out for work, then she can teach her children. That is how it worked out, and it worked out very well, and that is an area that we're focusing on. I mean, most of the schools that we target schools in which the one in Basho, it had 80 girls in the school and about 45 boys, where we established our innovation center. So educating women is very necessary if you want your country and your people to get educated, to grow. So that is what we learned. That is what the social experiment that was going on in the last 45 years in that area, which alhamdulillah turned out very, very well. Yes, that is what we learned from that.
And we can see that today as well, ladies and gentlemen. Very young vice president is actually sitting right in front of us as well. Let us just move on to Kalimullah Sahab. Now, Kalimullah Sahab, these are 2 different roles. For example, I definitely come back to Muhammad Nazir Sahab, where I'm going to ask him that if he's on television out there, you know, he can definitely promote the soft image, which you know, because this term is so overused, the positive image of Pakistan. But what are the different roles which you think that the expats can play in the development of the country as a person who's actually got good grip on international relations?
As you know, I'm basically belong from academia, so I'll respond you academically.
Sure.
Okay. When we talk about construction of positive national image, or we talk about the construction of national identity, so we need to understand that construction of national identity is a two-way process. Obviously, we expect a lot from our expats. It's 6th largest diaspora Pakistans have across the world, And you know, annually they are contributing $20 billion in our economy. It's almost half of our export bill. Basically, it's come from the expats, which remittances of expats which they send to the Pakistan. So they are already contributing a lot. Obviously, they are owning Pakistan abroad. But you know, no one can clap. No one can clap by one hand.
Yeah.
Okay? Obviously, when they have duties, there they have rights. There they have certain rights. So it's the responsibility of government of Pakistan that they should own themselves. Okay. There are many situations we read in the news when expats they stuck into any situation abroad. No one come to rescue them. Okay? And at that situation, they feel that basically no one is backing them. Okay? In a week or two back, okay, there are a few Pakistanis who stuck in China.
Let me just stop you over here, and I'm sorry that if the question's a bit too difficult as well. Now, in the very beginning, when you started answering my question, you said that they have their certain rights over there as well, right? Because they are citizens over there, they own that place too. Now, that's great that they still have a longing for their country. But why is that for all of those people who've got rights over there and they are being fulfilled, even if they are fundamental rights or above than that? What makes you think that they actually need to talk about Pakistani government when they're stuck in a position where they can't get out within that country, which has been delivering them their rights since probably the time when they landed on that land? So why do you think they have to look towards this government? I mean, we definitely own them, but that's a question which I just wanted to ask.
Basically, if we talk about the elements which are involved in construction of a national fabrics, so
I know that you're deviating, but I'm going to give you some space over here. Sure, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. What I was trying to ask was that, for example, you just mentioned that, people who live abroad, they have their rights over there within that country. And I know that, all of those countries where expats are living, those countries are in a very good shape in terms of law and order. So whatever goes wrong, if there's something which is not right, why don't they go to the same government and ask them for their rights over there? Why do they have to look towards Pakistan then? Because when they were getting, well, probably if they were on benefits, if they were doing whatever they wanted to do, everything was fine. Once they're stuck, all right, Pakistan, please tusi te aake hun sanu bacha lo. For all of those years, they have been living over there. So why do they have to look back then?
So this is not the attitude, which you can only attribute towards Pakistanis.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a characteristics and main features of the diaspora.
It's just a question.
Have you ever observed the Chinese who lived in Pakistan, how they behave? Okay?
They're great. I've worked with them as well.
They are too much conscious about the image of their country.
Yes.
Okay? Because their country owns them. Okay?
Exactly.
They come when they're stuck in any situation. So that's why.
Okay,
I think it's getting confusing over here, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, that's okay. I think your question was pretty confusing for me as well. But moving on to Mr. Nazir over here. When you say you're a host in, the UK, it's great you're probably contributing towards Pakistan in terms of, in monetary terms. I'm saying you're probably adding to the GDP as well. But when we say that, are you actually portraying a softer image or a positive image of Pakistan? It's a very cliched thing to say. But how are you doing that when you're hosting a TV show probably, there, and you're a journalist there?
Because my TV show is not specifically for one national Pakistan, but my guests are, it's called Guests with Nazir.
Okay.
So my guests are from diverse communities, so everybody's welcome. So the criteria is if you have achieved something and you have contributed in the society any over the world.
Okay.
So we try to bring sportsmen, lawyers, solicitors, barristers, and especially personalities like Shamir who are contributing in the charitable work.
Okay.
And I believe that when we show a struggle of a personality and their achievement, and I'll give you an example.
Okay, sure.
It was a great honor for me to interview Justice Vijiuddin Ahmed, and we started right from the beginning of Pakistan because Justice Saab has seen how Pakistan came into existence.
Right.
I also discussed about his childhood, and then we talked about his struggle to becoming a lawyer and then becoming a Chief Justice. I think this was the image we have shown, that a personality who came over in a very difficult situation, and look now, he has retired as a Chief Justice. Similarly, we have invited some players, some youth, and even it was a great honor that Secretary Law and Justice Commission, who is fortunately my uncle, so I interviewed him. He has also educated from the schools which we are called Tartian, you know, the Tart schools, the Mat schools, and there was no clean drinking water. But look at their struggle. They were not, you know, very, very, I will say, glamorous and very high facilitated schools. But these people came from very grassroots level. And I'm grateful for the Shamir who has raised this opportunity for the schools who are not having good facilities. But overseas Pakistanis are contributing. And even I offer my help. If you need my help, I'm there to assist you if you want to arrange any dinner, any seminar in United Kingdom. My all efforts and my assistance will be available.
No,
to you.
but that's
really
great. That's great. You
appreciate
just
that.
got
That is amazing. But one more thing from Mr. Kalimullah Sahab, and that is even if you want to answer that academically now, what I want to ask you is that for all those people who are Pakistanis and are living abroad, how do you think that they can play a role in building good international relations with the same country they're residing in?
You know, since people-to-people contact is very imperative to better
Obviously,
relations.
people-to-people contact is very important, and when we talk about the role of expats, so mainly they have two roles. One role is outside the country, and one role they have inside the country.
Now I'm talking about outside the country to be in contact with different peoples, you know, or probably, you know, the mayor of that country, and probably helping things back over here in Pakistan too as well, connecting people from here to over there too as well. I mean, that's what I'm asking.
Obviously, experts, they are face of the Pakistans. They are ambassador of the Pakistans.
Exactly.
They have to represent Pakistans abroad. What Pakistan is basically is their actions which reflects. Okay? So basically, there are so many political issues, okay, which they can highlight over there. Okay? We have a Kashmir issue, okay? And basically it's expats who lived in UK. They always contribute when we talk about the Kashmir issue. So there are certain issues, political issues, economic issues. Okay? They can put them limelight, okay, in their community over there.
Okay.
Exactly, that's what it is, ladies and gentlemen. What Mr. Kaleem is trying to say is that, you know, people over there can actually highlight the issues and then get the news out too as well, and then while collaborating with other people, I think those issues can always be resolved. And what I believe in is sitting down onto the table, talking about issues, and that's how issues are being resolved. But with that, we're going to go for a short break. Don't go anywhere, because when you guys are going to come back, we're actually going to ask Shamir and Ali Milad over here that what have they actually done in terms of utilizing the expats outside, you know, or their resources, and then investing it in the education sector of Pakistan as well. That's what we're going to ask. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome back to World This Morning. You guys, hope you're having a great day. It is a beautiful day outside, and yes, just others with me as well. So on our show today, we're talking about the role of expats and people who live outside Pakistan in, bettering the image of Pakistan, and also, improving relations between other countries with the people of Pakistan. Exactly. And in this segment, we have actually replaced Mr. Ali with someone who also works for the same NGO that he's working for. And she is?
And she is, ladies and gentlemen, a social activist and the executive member of Helping Hands International, and she's none other than Miss Mariam Chaudhary. Hello, Mariam. A very warm welcome. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Absolutely perfect. Thank you very much for joining us. So what's your role in international, in fact, Helping Hands International?
Yes.
So I'm actually a student at Purdue University in the US. We have launched Helping Hands International as a student organization in Purdue as well, and it's in the pipelines to involve further members of Purdue University in Helping Hands International so that we can collect more funds and come back to Pakistan and incorporate those funds in the projects we're doing right now. Other than that, I'm also working with a project with some clinical psychologists based in Pakistan right now. And we're going to go to a few schools in Islamabad as of now, not Basho yet. And we're going to incorporate some of the clinical assessments on the kids in those schools, because in Pakistan there are many issues such as dyslexia or global developmental delay or other social issues that many of those kids actually have because of the background they're coming from that are not addressed. They're not even addressed in schools such as Roots or Beacon House or schools where we've studied from. So we can't even imagine those kids studying in underprivileged settings being helped for those issues. So that's another project that I'm working on right now as an executive member.
Okay. Now, I know you have a lot of questions to ask Mr. Kalimullah and Mr. Nazir over here. But moving on to Shamir, I have to ask...
That's what we call a shut-up call.
I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
No, but when you're talking about, education, what sort of education are you imparting? Is it only curricular or is there vocational training as well?
As Mariam talked about vocational training, when it comes to having psychologists over in underprivileged schools, they will be diagnosing children with the problems they are facing. So, as Mariam was telling me about dyslexia, ADHD, mostly in underprivileged areas, people say that if you have depression, go and pray and the depression will go away. बिल्कुल रूहानी इलाज होता है, खुदा से मदद मांगनी चाहिए, but at the same time you need a psychologist there. What we talking about collaboration, what we do is
We've got your pictures. Would you
yeah.
mind telling us about these pictures? What happened, what went down?
Can we rerun
so
them?
if we can run the loop again, please. Yes, go ahead.
This project basically was carried out in the Basho Valley in association with the Aga Khan Development Network. We were given access to this area, which is located at 10,000 feet. It is very chilly, very windy, and it was a 10-kilometer one-way road. Basically, I am there in this picture interacting with the local community. They were very supportive. Basically, this is a school which is located in the Basho Valley. Wow. We traveled here, and it was a 26-hour travel. Then we got here, we camped here, and we took the necessary equipment for establishing an innovation center at this school, which I told you earlier about, that how it is. It comes with the innovative learning software, typing masters, which actually help these students learn and grow and connect them to the outside world. The local community was very supportive of this idea, as Ali was mentioning earlier on, that in this particular valley, if I talk about it, women and men, they both wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning. They take a 10-kilometer climb up to this area where the school is located at. They collect firewood and stock it for the winters. They go back to their house, they put it there, and then these children travel 10 kilometers again up to the school, and then they study.
We'll talk about determination.
Yeah. When we were establishing innovation centers in Islamabad, we were reached by the Aga Khan Development Network, and they told us that people here deserve it more. So why don't you take it over to the north? And they facilitated us, and we were able to carry out this project in Basho Valley, and there are a lot of projects in the pipeline when it comes to working in the north. Actually, when he was talking about, Mr. Kalimullah was talking about collaborations, what we do is we organize fundraising dinners in the US and talking about promoting the positive image of Pakistan. We tell them how these people are so determined to learn. They just need the facilities. And these expats, and not even expats, not just expats, the doctors who are working, American doctors and other Americans, they basically help us to carry out these projects. We channel the money back into Pakistan. And Ali, who was talking about the young vice president, a very hard-working guy, he basically carries out projects for us when I'm not in Pakistan, and as soon as I come into Pakistan, we work together on it.
Amazing.
So collaborations are done in the US, and the money is channeled into Pakistan, and we promote the positive image of Pakistan by showing them presentations on fundraising dinners that how they want
I
to
believe that is very amazing as well, and where credit's due, it's due as well. So, you know, for all those people who've actually been partnering with them as well, ladies and gentlemen, Helping Hands International, rich tribute to you guys as well. Please keep on doing that as well. But now I will move on to Mr. Kalimullah over here. Now, Mr. Kalimullah, what I'm about to ask is that, you know, for example, he was giving us an example that, you know, people wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning, go up, you know, get the wood, and then come down and then go up. So it's a community, it's a cult. They do it together. And when, even if he was talking about United States, he was telling us that, you know, there are too many other doctors, not just Pakistanis, who are out there to help. So it's a community, you know, it's a social fabric, it's a social net as well. How do you think that we can work on that in terms of, you know, over here, or probably, because we've got very different tiers of our community, or the segmentation within our community is very different, the way we practice or the way we process.
You are very much right. And
Thank
you know,
you.
the modern concept of power is not limited to military might only.
Yeah.
When we talk about power in a modern world, see, culture is a basic element of that power. Okay? And besides culture, there are other elements, your food, your languages. Basically, overall, by and large, they collectively they constitute power. So culture is so much important. Okay? If we have a look on other states, especially China, they are promoting Confucius school system across the world, just on the pattern of Oxford school system or a Cambridge school system across the world. They opened so much their cultural center in Pakistan. So they are basically creating their soft image across the world. So you can't create a soft image only by a military might. So it's culture basically which determined the fate of the nation, the fate of the nation. So we need to promote our culture, our food, our language. Okay? That's how we can promote our soft image across the world.
The problem is that we promote it too much. You know, even yesterday when I went out, there were too many people with their bajas and whatnot and hullarbazi and all of that. That's not what our culture is like. Because you've got international media looking towards you, you know, even if you go see towards Dubai, you know, there was a flag hosting on to the Burj Khalifa as well. So there are different things. But when we know that there's international media, we're getting some attention, why do we have to do things outside the box? Why not within the box of the culture? Because, you know, that hullarbazi is not even culture of any other nation out there as well. So how do we remind them that, okay, you know, this is not what it is. We can probably dress up differently, sing national songs, very peaceful. We can do that. How do we get discipline into the community?
I don't think so. This is a weird thing. This happens everywhere.
Yeah,
we have
imagine,
nasty
you know, it
people
happened in France
everywhere.
once they won the World Cup, you know, there were hooligans over there, you know, they took over as well. So how do we do that? But we need to tell them, we need to keep on reiterating, this is our job.
Exactly.
So only way we can promote a cohesion in our country, we can be much more civilized, is to promote education.
Yeah.
Okay? Unfortunately, more than 60% of our population lived below poverty line or on poverty line. We don't have much resource to intellect them, to provide them educations. Okay. And the education we are providing to our people, it's itself very substandard. So unless we spend much money, much resources on education, we can't expect a civilized nation. Okay? So we need to promote education.
Okay, so we need to change the trends of education. I think that's what it is.
I'd actually like to add to this. This 14th August, what we did was one of our team members traveled again to the Basho Valley, and since there is not a building there to have a lot of students in there. There are students who sit outside that building on the ground and study. So one of our team member is in Bashor right now, and he is carrying out a project for us. We are looking at the feasibility of this particular project. We are going to make a building over there so that it can have more students in.
Okay.
So this Independence Day, what we have done comes to this side, and talking about hooligans and the band and the bajas, it sort of happens.
Yeah,
So,
obviously it does. And this is why, I'm going to take you to the other side of the picture now. Now, the other side of the picture is that a total of more than 20,000 trees were planted yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of other institutions came
I was
up
saving
with
this for
different...
the end of the show, but yes, go
a
ahead.
lot of other people came out with the social responsibility concepts as well. So this is now what we're talking about. Obviously, there are people who actually complained about that, that the good does not get noticed. It's not that it does not get noticed, it gets noticed. That's why we're sharing it. But we need to talk about all of those things which we need to correct in the first place. That's what it is. We can be a disciplined nation, and all we need to do is follow the rules. That's very simple. As I was telling you earlier, that people weren't even following the traffic lights, and the traffic warden actually had to slap the guys on the bike. So imagine that, okay, everybody was having fun. You were allowed to do that. But please, I think it's our job that we keep on telling you not to do that, not just like the mothers do. Don't put your finger in the socket, but you will do it once, and then you will know never to do it again.
Yeah, no, this is not independence of freedom. This is, in fact, a misuse of freedom as well. Now, what I want to ask Mr. Nazir is not probably in line with what we're discussing today, but being an aspiring journalist, I really want to ask this. Now, you've been in the media scene of the UK for quite a long time, and you also know the ins and outs of Pakistan media industry as well. So do you think that the media in Pakistan is at par with the international standards in terms of ethics and transparency?
Not at all.
Okay.
Oh my God,
Because,
man. This question went way
when
wrong.
we take responsibility, I think especially we need a lot of training.
At least we do not abuse on television.
No,
That's
one
something
thing,
we know.
One thing.
Well, we don't. This channel doesn't.
And another thing I have noticed that sometimes the journalism takes our steps, which we call no ball.
Okay.
Like every game, every industry has some rules. We have a Ofcom there, and I think there's a need, a time has come that our media, I'm talking about all the media industry, whether it's a newspaper, whether it's a print media, whether it's electronical media, that they have to follow the golden principle, which is very simple, responsibility.
Right.
That whenever we are showing an image, we have to think twice that in the whole world, on the social media, on the electronic media, people are watching us as a nation, how we are portraying our image of Pakistan. Sometimes a very simple story happening all over the world, but the way sometimes some channels show, it looks very bad.
Okay.
We should stand up and we should say no to this culture. We should promote positive image of Pakistan. And one thing, that the journalism need a lot of responsibility. I'll tell you one thing, very important.
Very quickly.
That when I have contributed a lot of debate on BBC, on other mainstream media there, that one thing they take that, first of all, you have to take that you have to show to protect the national interest. I'm not talking about a lot of media bans or anything, but you have to take responsibility that certain action will take where our national pride and our national integrity, and we should take responsibility that this is a very important role. Every journalism and every journalist take this responsibility.
And we need to keep it intact too as well. So very quickly, Shamir, you've said quite a lot. So Mariam, how would you want to wrap it up with?
I'd want to wrap it up that all the problems that we have discussed so far, including the hooligan issue you were talking about, I think the root cause at the end goes to the lack of education. At the starting of the show, you pointed out how in Japan people actually end up cleaning the arenas. Well, Japan's literacy rate is 99% in the entire country according to UNESCO, whereas Pakistan's actually dropped from 60% to 58% in the recent years. So when we go back to our childhood and when our mothers say don't put your fingers in the socket and we learn from that, a large responsibility of learning these social issues and ethics and causes and things we are supposed to do in the society go back to our schooling. And if we're not there in the primary classes, we're not scolded by our teachers for not standing in the line or not sharing our food or not cleaning up after ourselves after our lunch, we won't have those traits inside of us when we're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 later on in the future of Pakistan. So I think it's very important the role Helping Hands International is playing right now, promoting education not just where it's not needed, but in areas where it's completely inaccessible, because those children will grow up to be the future of Pakistan, and that's how Pakistan and all these small social problems will be fixed.
Very rightly said.
Perfect.
Thank you very much for being with us. It was lovely to have you all. It was lovely to host you all. And we definitely look forward to having you back again as well whenever you're in the country or whatever you guys are doing. Please keep us posted too as well, so that we can share it with our viewers. Thank you very much once again.
No, but there's one thing I need to say before we end the show, that no matter how expensive clothes you wear, no matter what a luxury car you're driving, as long as you're littering around on the roads, just pulling down your window and throwing stuff outside on the roads, and as long as you're making your environment look bad, you yourself are looking bad as well. So do not litter, make Pakistan beautiful if you want to look beautiful as well, because you are representing Pakistan.
Exactly, that's what it is. And ladies and gentlemen, if there's anything else you want to ask us, please write to us on our Facebook fan page, which is with the name of
Well This Morning.
On Twitter.
Well This Morning without a G.
On Daily Motion and YouTube.
Well This Morning.
And this fabulous repeat is going to be at
11:05 in the night.
The next time, 1, 2, 3, good morning.